It is the world's greatest spy device. We are allowing these devices to basically become our masters. While you are watching your phone is watching you. It should be waking people up. We buy them so they can spy on us. People should listen. If everybody knew everything about everyone else, we would have chaos. Over half of all smartphones are infected.
Your identity will be stolen.
Every pornography site in the world, how do you think they make their money? The instant you visit the site, the very first video that you watch downloads a keylogger. Cyber mafia are so powerful, they pay hundreds of millions of dollars to these sites to allow them to access your smartphone so that at some point they can utilize that. That's crazy. It is the only phone that cannot be remotely rooted or remotely jailbroken. It's the problem that cybersecurity professionals face every day. While you are watching your phone is watching you. The operating system is designed specifically to watch you, listen to you, find out where you are. It needs to know who your friends are. It needs to know what you're saying in your text messages. It needs to listen to you sometimes. It is the world's greatest spy device. But hackers use those same facilities. They are built into the operating system. If a hacker gets access to those facilities, they may choose to empty my bank account without my permission or knowledge, or to steal my identity, or to start charging things on my credit card. That's the problem that we have, and that's just on the individual level. On the corporate level, it's horrific because the problem is magnified by the number of people within the corporation. And on the nation-state level, it's even more horrific. Almost every developed nation has the ability to press a button and destroy the power grid in any other nation. This is the facts. This is not science fiction. What I just told you is real. Nevertheless, people should listen. I built the first antivirus company. Viruses are not the problem. Hackers spend weeks, months, or sometimes years sniffing around in your system, taking what they want before they even plant malware. Every hacker has to go through certain steps in order to break into any system and do damage. The first thing they have to do is get through the firewall, and then they have to find out where they are. So they sniff every device on the network. That's crazy. I've even heard people at Google say that if you have nothing to hide, you have nothing to fear. Well, I've never heard anything crazier. If everybody knew everything about everyone else, we would have chaos in the streets. It's insane to say, if you have nothing to hide, you have nothing to fear. We're all humans. Now something that you may not know is that over half of all smartphones, both iOS and Android, are infected with keystroke logging software. Every pornography site in the world, how do you think they make their money? This is the issue. It costs millions of dollars to maintain these massive databases and have the bandwidth to disperse this pornography, and yet you don't pay? Yes, you're paying. The instant you visit the site, if you have an Android, for example, the site runs a JavaScript which sets the download unauthorized application flag. The very first video that you watch, you clicked, you did something. Downloads, first and foremost, a remote rooting function. If it's an iPhone, a remote jailbreaking program. All can be remotely rooted now. After it's rooted, they download a keylogger, and all this takes just a matter of seconds. And from that point on, somebody is watching every single one of your keystrokes. Now, people pay these pornography sites for the ability to put their keylogging software on your phones. Why? Maybe you do online banking, all right? You have a password, you have an application. The very first time you've logged into your bank to check your balance or do anything, they go, thank you very much. And the next day, your bank balance will disappear. Now, why has this not happened to you already? Because hackers are not stupid. In order to take something, they have to download additional software. If they only take 400 or 500 people's bank accounts in one day, then the next day the white hat hackers are going to say, this is how they did it. Everybody, you can protect yourself. No, they're going to wait until one day this year or next year, and 100 million people in one day are going to have your bank accounts eradicated. Zero balance. Or your identity will be stolen. Or your Bitcoin wallet will be emptied. Or maybe they've been watching your keystrokes to see if, maybe you're saying something to a friend or a lover that maybe could compromise you. Maybe they can blackmail you. So this is why this is being done. And the Russian cyber mafia and the Chinese cyber mafia are so powerful. They pay literally hundreds of millions of dollars to these pornography sites to allow them to access your smartphone so that at some point they can utilize that. It's something to think about. What is the cloud? We haven't thought this through, people. The cloud is a place where I'm going to store data. I don't know what computer it's on or even what country it's in. I don't know who is managing it and monitoring it and controlling it. I don't know what type of security facilities you have. I know nothing. And I'm willing to put my valuable data there? No. Why would we do that? And why do we use the cloud? We use it because it makes life easy. I can access my data from anywhere and from any device, on an airplane, my smartphone, my laptop, who cares? It would have to be a new type of cloud, a cloud that you, as the user, have control over to the extent that you get to choose the location of your data. The ridiculousness of wallets, keep in mind that if you've been to a pornography site, someone's watching you anyway. As soon as you install the wallet, you just gave up your wallet to any hacker who wants access to it. To keep the wallet on any intelligent device, whether it's your laptop, your desktop, or any mobile device, that's insane. It will get stolen. The world is changing rapidly. The entire world is teetering on the edge of a cliff, dangerously, where we are allowing these devices to basically become our masters rather than the other way around. And these devices are spy devices. We buy them so they can spy on us. And that's creating a great deal of danger. It would be a horrific world. It should be waking people up. But instead, we're still drawn into this tiny little colorful entertaining screen. The most secure it's this one, the one that I carry, and it's a Samsung S7. And the reason is it is the only phone that cannot be remotely rooted or remotely jailbroken.
How do you know when a phone is actually off? How do you know when it's actually not spying on you? There are potential ways that you can hack a phone where it appears to be off, but it's not actually off. It's just pretending to be off, whereas in fact, it's still listening in and doing all this stuff. Your phone is sitting there doing nothing, you think, but it's constantly shouting and saying, I'm here. Who is closest to me? The phone has the screen off. You don't know what it's connected to. You don't know how frequently it's doing it. And you don't even know it's happening because you can't see it. The device is talking all of the time. The question we have to ask is, who is it talking to? There is an industry that is built on keeping this invisible. They can see everything about you. They can see everything about what your device is doing, and they can do whatever they want with your device. Wherever you go, your phone goes. It knows what you bought. It knows who you talk to. It knows what you're interested in. It's seen every photograph that you've had. The phone is really an extension of the self. It's a part of you. So my trust in technology is limited. You can't awaken someone who's pretending to be asleep. You got a smartphone, right? You might be listening to this. You got a phone somewhere in the room. The phone is turned off, or at least the screen is turned off. It's sitting there. And if somebody sends you a message, the screen blinks to life. How does that happen? How is it that if someone from any corner of the earth dials a number, your phone rings and nobody else's rings? Every smartphone is constantly connected to the nearest cellular tower. Every phone, even when the screen is off, you think it's doing nothing. You can't see it because radio frequency emissions are invisible. And so your phone is sitting there doing nothing, you think, but it's constantly shouting and saying, I'm here. Who is closest to me? It's a cell phone tower. And every cell phone tower with its big ears is listening, and it compares notes with the other network towers, and your smartphone compares notes with them to go, who do I hear the loudest? And who you hear the loudest is a proxy for closeness, distance. They go, whoever I hear more loudly than anybody else, that's close to me. So you're going to be bound to this cell phone tower, and that cell phone tower is going to make a note, a permanent record, saying this phone handset with this phone number at this time was connected to me. And based on your phone handset and your phone number, they can get your identity. But what this means is that whenever you're carrying a phone, whenever the phone is turned on, there's a record of your presence at that place that is being made and created by companies. Now, these things are stored. Now, these things are saved. It doesn't matter whether you're doing anything wrong. It doesn't matter whether you're the most ordinary person on Earth, because that's how bulk collection, which is the government's euphemism for mass surveillance, works. They simply collect it all in advance in hopes that one day it will become useful. The thing with shutting your phone off that is a risk is, how do you know your phone's actually turned off? When I was in Geneva, working for the CIA, we would all carry like drug dealer phones. The old smartphones, old dumb phones, they're not smartphones. And the reason why was just because they had removable backs where you could take the battery out. And the one beautiful thing about technology is if there's no electricity in it, there's no battery connected to it, it's not sending anything, because you have to get power from somewhere. You have to have power in order to do work. But now your phones are all sealed, right? You can't take the batteries out. So there are potential ways that you can hack a phone where it appears to be off, but it's not actually off. It's just pretending to be off, whereas in fact it's still listening in and doing all this stuff. I wrote a paper on this specific problem. How do you know when a phone is actually off? How do you know when it's actually not spying on you? With a brilliant guy named Andrew Bunny Huang, called the introspection engine. But for average people, right, this is academic. That's not your primary threat. Your primary threats are these bulk collection programs. Your primary threat is the fact that your phone is constantly squawking to these cell phone towers that's doing all of these things, because we leave our phones in a state that is constantly on. You're constantly connected. But the whole idea is we need to identify the problem. And the central problem with smartphone use today is you have no idea what the hell it's doing at any given time. Like, the phone has the screen off. You don't know what it's connected to. You don't know how frequently it's doing it. And you don't even know it's happening because you can't see it, right? And this is the problem with the data collection used today, is there is an industry that is built on keeping this invisible. They can see everything about you. They can see everything about what your device is doing, and they can do whatever they want with your device.